The NASCAR Winston Cup Series comes to Illinois this week for today's race, the Tropicana 400 at the Chicagoland Speedway. This is still a new track for these teams. Tell us about it, Barney.
NASCAR Winston Cup racing in the Midwest. The fans here are excited. I'm happy to be back here, and I think we're in for a great show.
That car of Ken Schrader sure is something else, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely got one of the most interesting paint schemes in all of NASCAR. You certainly don't have any trouble picking him out on the racetrack, and that's what a sponsor is after.
Rusty Wallace was the 1989 Winston Cup champion in one of the closest point races in NASCAR history.
Well, that was a pretty exciting weekend in Atlanta. Earnhardt dominated and won the race, but Rusty battled to a 15th place finish. That was good enough to edge the Intimidator by 12 points.
Welcome to MRN's live coverage from the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway for today's Brickyard 400. NASCAR Winston Cup racing from the Brickyard. It doesn't get much better than this, Barney.
Indianapolis Motor Speedway. What a deep history this place has. I still get chills walking into this place. Speaking of history, there'll be a lot of drivers fighting to get into victory lane for a chance to kiss the bricks after this one is all over today.
That car of Ken Schrader sure is something else, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely got one of the most interesting paint schemes in all of NASCAR. You certainly don't have any trouble picking him out on the racetrack, and that's what a sponsor is after.
Terry Labonte has been called the Iceman because of his cool demeanor under pressure, but maybe the nickname Iron Man is more appropriate.
You know, that's right. Labonte set a record for consecutive race starts with 655. That's over 20 years without missing a race.
Welcome to Pocono Raceway, located in the heart of the beautiful Pocono Mountains for today's Pennsylvania 500 on MRN. What can we look for on this unusual track, Barney?
Unique is definitely the word for this racetrack. First of all, there are only 3 corners, each of which has completely different banking, which also means there are 3 straightaways. And guess what? They're all different lengths. This is one tough racetrack to prepare a race car for.
Ken Schrader won Rookie of the Year honors in 1985.
You know, it seems like Schrader's been competing in Winston Cup for so long that it's hard to believe he was ever a rookie. He's a class act, and it shows on the racetrack and in the garage area.
Rusty Wallace is one of those drivers who always seems to be running up front.
He's had an incredible run of success in winning races and finishing in the top 10 in points. Add to that a solid qualifying program, and it's no big surprise that Rusty is one of NASCAR's winningest drivers.
The NASCAR Winston Cup Series made a right turn today on its way to Watkins Glen International for today's race, the Sirius Satellite Radio at the Glen. The Glen is a road course that can be quite a challenge to these drivers. Isn't that right, Barney?
Well, 7 out of the 11 corners here are to the right. You want a car that can turn both ways with ease. Of course, that's a lot easier said than done.
Terry Labonte has been called the Iceman because of his cool demeanor under pressure, but maybe the nickname Iron Man is more appropriate.
You know, that's right. Labonte set a record for consecutive race starts with 655. That's over 20 years without missing a race.
Ken Schrader won Rookie of the Year honors in 1985.
You know, it seems like Schrader's been competing in Winston Cup for so long that it's hard to believe he was ever a rookie. He's a class act, and it shows on the racetrack and in the garage area.
Michigan International Speedway in Brooklyn, Michigan, the site for another exciting NASCAR Winston Cup race, coming up right here on MRN. What can we expect in this race, Barney?
Michigan is wide with plenty of banking in the turns. You can get 3 wide pretty easily here. That always makes for some exciting race action.
Ken Schrader won Rookie of the Year honors in 1985.
You know, it seems like Schrader's been competing in Winston Cup for so long that it's hard to believe he was ever a rookie. He's a class act, and it shows on the racetrack and in the garage area.
It's nighttime here at Bristol Motor Speedway, and we're ready to go racing under the lights. It's the Sharpie 500, brought to you by EA Sports and MRN. As usual, 43 cars will start this race, and when they get lined up to take the green, they'll take up more than half the racetrack.
Well, that's right, Joe. The fans here love watching this race. There'll be some bumping and banging out there, and this one, you can be assured of that.
Mark Martin had an amazing streak of 12 consecutive years in the top 10 in points, snapped in 2001.
Mark Martin has been a model of consistency since he hooked up with Roush Racing. He qualifies well, he finishes well, and everyone out there on the racetrack respects his skill behind the wheel.
Ken Schrader has earned over 20 pole positions during his NASCAR career.
Schrader's always been pretty good in qualifying, especially in the late 80s and early 90s. In 1993, he started 8 of 30 races from the front row, and when you're not working your way through traffic, a good finish is a lot easier.
MRN comes to Richmond, Virginia for tonight's race, the Chevy Monte Carlo 400. What's in store for us on this track, Barney?
Richmond is a great racetrack. It's always fun to come here. We should see some close racing, so anything can happen here.
Ken Schrader has earned over 20 pole positions during his NASCAR career.
Schrader's always been pretty good in qualifying, especially in the late 80s and early 90s. In 1993, he started 8 of 30 races from the front row, and when you're not working your way through traffic, a good finish is a lot easier.
Dale Jarrett was part of one of the tightest point battles in NASCAR history in 1997. He ended up finishing second to Jeff Gordon.
And he didn't finish second by much, only 14 points, and Mark Martin wasn't too far behind either. Those last couple of races in a season are pretty exciting when a championship is on the line.
Welcome to the New Hampshire International Speedway in Loudon for today's NASCAR Winston Cup race, the New Hampshire 300. What can we expect to see today, Barney?
Well, gear selection is everything here at New Hampshire. Very important to be able to accelerate out of these tight corners. The danger is picking too low of a gear and hitting the top end too early on the straights and blowing an engine.
Ken Schrader has earned over 20 pole positions during his NASCAR career.
Schrader's always been pretty good in qualifying, especially in the late 80s and early 90s. In 1993, he started 8 of 30 races from the front row, and when you're not working your way through traffic, a good finish is a lot easier.
Jeff Burton made his NASCAR Winston Cup debut at New Hampshire in 1993, and since then, he's had quite a bit of success here.
Well, he certainly has. He won a race here in 4 consecutive seasons starting back in 1997, and he led every single lap during that win in 2000. Now that's domination.
We're live at Dover International Speedway for the MBNA America 400, brought to you by MRN. This is a tough track, both physically and mentally. What is it the drivers struggle with so much here, Barney?
Well, the name Monster Mile does say it all. It takes total concentration each and every lap. You'll see guys tagging the wall out of turn 2 and 4 all race long, and let me tell you, they'll feel it tomorrow morning.
Mike Skinner began racing full-time on the Winston Cup circuit as a teammate of Dale Earnhardt. That's got to be tough.
Well, yes and no. Sure, you got a lot of eyes on you and your race team, but with someone like Earnhardt around, he's got to rub off on you. And I think it did. Skinner's an aggressive driver who doesn't like to finish second.
Matt Kenseth got his start in NASCAR Winston Cup here in Dover in 1998, filling in for Bill Elliott in a one-race deal.
He had quite a day, too. He caught the eye of a bunch of folks with a 6th-place finish. Here you are, first time in a Cup race, driving a Hall of Famer's car, and you finish 6th. That's amazing.
Hello and welcome to the Kansas Speedway for the running of the Protection 1 400. What a great facility this is, Barney. What do you think of this track?
A first-time winner here, definitely not out of the question in this one. Being that this place is still relatively new to these guys, everyone is on an even playing field as far as experience here.
Jimmy Spencer has earned the name Mr. Excitement with his all-out aggressive driving style.
Well, every time Jimmy Spencer gets in a race car, you know he's going to drive the wheels off that thing. Sometimes it gets him into trouble, but it makes for some great racing action.
Jerry Nadeau is one of those guys who you just keep expecting to break out and have a good year.
Yeah, you do, but he's got a ton of talent and some good equipment. He's shown he can win and run up front. Now he's just got to string some success together and gain some confidence out there.
Welcome to today's NASCAR Winston Cup Series event, the EA Sports 500, live on MRN from the Talladega Superspeedway in Alabama. And Barney, this track always manages to produce some white-knuckle moments.
Lots of different opinions about this restrictor plate racing. These drivers love the speed. It's what they live for. In fact, some think they should run with no plates at all, so the cars would be more spread out. Speeds would be well over 215 miles an hour. But that doesn't seem to bother most of the drivers. It's the fact that they can't break away from each other with the plates on the cars that bother them.
We're live from the Atlanta Motor Speedway in Hampton, Georgia for today's Napa 500 on MRN. I expect to see some exciting racing in this one, don't you, Barney?
The high speeds that can be reached here does make for some exciting racing. There's no restrictor plates to keep them from being able to pass either. It's just all out, flat, good old stock car racing with the best drivers in the business. I can't wait to get this one underway.
Jimmy Spencer won 2 races in 1994, but wound up 29th in the standings. How does that happen?
Well, he had 11 DNFs, that's how. Each time you fail to finish a race, it almost completely wipes out one of those good finishes. The points championship is all about consistency.
Welcome once again to Martinsville, Virginia. MRN is proud to present live coverage of today's Martinsville 500. And Barney, this is one of those tracks where the term Rubbins Racing says it all.
Joe, I don't think there'll be a single car here at the end that doesn't have some damage, although oftentimes a guy who can manage to stay out of trouble all race long might get a ticket to victory lane for his effort. We'll see if that holds true when this one is all over.
Jeremy Mayfield changed teams after the 2001 season, ending a 4-year tenure with Roger Penske.
A lot of people, Ray Evernham included, believe Mayfield still has a lot of untapped potential. He certainly has shown flashes of brilliance in the past. Maybe he can put that number 19 Dodge in victory lane today.
Joe Moore and Barney Hall coming to you live from the Mecca of Motorsports, Lowe's Motor Speedway, for today's NASCAR Winston Cup race, the UAW GM Quality 500. Barney, this is a hometown crowd for a lot of these drivers.
This track was the first one to focus on spectator comfort, and it shows. This place always draws an enormous crowd. Most of the team shops are located in this area, which give it that hometown feel. We're in for some great racing here at Lowe's.
In 1993, Bobby Labonte finished second to Jeff Gordon in the Rookie of the Year battle.
You know, that's a pretty good rookie class. At first, Gordon's accomplishments overshadowed Bobby's, but Labonte had been a solid contender for the title in each of the last few years.
Steve Park has had some tough breaks during his still young Winston Cup career. He missed a bunch of races in both 98 and 2001 due to injury.
Yes, and unfortunately, those injuries cost him a shot at Rookie of the Year and his first top 10 points finish. But he's back now and as good as ever.
Welcome to Texas Motor Speedway in Fort Worth, Texas, and today's NASCAR Winston Cup race, the Samsung Radio Shack 500. What's in store for these drivers today, Barney?
Texas is a very tough racetrack for these drivers to get the hang of. It's very fast, but it has a very tight groove. Some of these cars may add some paint to the walls here before the race is over.
Mark Martin had an amazing streak of 12 consecutive years in the top 10 in points, snapped in 2001.
Mark Martin has been a model of consistency since he hooked up with Roush Racing. He qualifies well, he finishes well, and everyone out there on the racetrack respects his skill behind the wheel.
Joe Moore and Barney Hall from the beautiful Arizona desert at the 1 Mile Phoenix International Raceway for today's Checker Auto Parts 500K. Tell us more about this unique track, Barney.
Boy, it's beautiful here, right at the base of the Australia Mountains, and this is quite an interesting racetrack. First, it's known as the world's fastest 1 mile oval. Add to that the fact that each corner is slightly different, and it all adds up to some great racing.
Mike Skinner began racing full-time on the Winston Cup circuit as a teammate of Dale Earnhardt. That's gotta be tough.
Well, yes and no. Sure, you got a lot of eyes on you and your race team, but with someone like Earnhardt around, he's got to rub off on you. And I think it did. Skinner's an aggressive driver who doesn't like to finish second.
Welcome to the Homestead Miami Speedway for today's NASCAR Winston Cup race, the Homestead 400. This is a relatively new track on the NASCAR circuit. Tell us about it, Barney.
This is a wide, flat track. The lack of banking in the turns keeps the speeds down and usually makes for a lot of green flag racing. I don't expect to see too many caution flags.
After finishing second twice to Dale Earnhardt Jr. for the Busch Series Championship, Kenseth beat him out for Rookie of the Year in 2000.
And he did it without qualifying well. Despite only 2 top 10 starting spots, he posted a 14th place points finish and a win and 11 top 10s.